Imagine passing through a place where the ancient secrets of the earth can be heard whispering through rustling leaves and roars of wild animals from a distance. Welcome to the Sundarbans, a huge forest with tall trees and wide rivers. It's a place where nature shows off its strength and beauty. The Sundarban covers an area of about 10,000 square kilometers, with 40% of the Sundarbans stretching into India and the rest into Bangladesh. It is a living and breathing wonder, fed by the mighty Ganges, Brahmaputra and Meghna rivers, formed by the powerful tides of the Bay of Bengal. The unique mangrove ecosystem supports a rich variety of wildlife. From the majestic Bengal tiger to the spotted deer, the Sundarbans is teeming with life. As the sun sets, the forest transforms into a serene and mystical landscape. Today we enter deep inside this mysterious forest land. Every tree and ripple in the water, every shadow speaking their own tale further ahead. The Sundarbans would have blown one's imagination, taking a person deeper with each step inside its beauty and mystery. The name Sundarbans is acquired from the Sundari, one of the most iconic trees in this forest. These trees grow to as high as 25 meters high and are not only beautiful in appearance but also keepers of health within this ecosystem. Their name, Sundari, probably means beautiful, and it is rather easy to see why. The trees are straight in trunk with lush green leaves, standing silent guardians of the forest. These are very important trees for the survival of the Sundarbans. The roots of these trees hold the soil tight to avoid erosion and save the land from the continuous onslaught of the sea. Trees provide shelter to innumerable animals, starting from birds to monkeys, and their leaves and barks are used by the local communities for various purposes. Not quite anything ordinary, the Sundarbans is a mangrove forest, the most intricate net of salt-tolerant trees and shrubs thriving in brackish waters where freshwater rivers meet the salted sea. It is here day in and out that the shifting tides flood and recede with relentless reshaping of the landscape. This ebb and flow give rise to a rather peculiar environment with an incredible diversity of life. Through the ages, the Sundarbans has stood as a living testament to the power and adaptability of nature. One of the wonders which this forest boasts is the mangrove trees themselves. They become so adapted to this harsh environment that their roots rise out of the ground in claw shape to absorb oxygen even when submerged in water. These roots not only support the trees, but provide a cushioning agent between the mighty forces of erosion and storms that the land is always under threat from the sea. Indeed, the Sundarbans are the place of endless motion. The rivers and tides cut new channels and islands, remolding the forest each day. These mangroves take the pulse of the Sundarbans, contriving a landscape almost out of this world. The trees with twisted roots and gnarled trunks form dense thickets continuing as far as the eye can see. Above them, their leaves form a lush green canopy that filters sunlight and casts it as dappled shadows on the forest floor. This is part of the Sundarbans, a merging ambience of light and shadow that falls upon the place with some kind of mystery, as if the very forest is alive, watching and waiting. These mangroves are not just a means of sustenance, but a habitat where hundreds of species find food and shelter in the murky maze below. The gnarled roots at its base afford shelter and homes to fishes, crabs and other amphibians, while birds and monkeys call the tops their abode. From a distance, the Sundarbans may appear unassuming, teeming with life. Then the tide is in, and the forest floor disappears underwater. The mangroves become a shining sea of trees. When the tide goes out, it exposes mudflats, allowing gnarled root systems anchoring the forest to the earth. This ceaseless rise and fall in the tides lend the Sundarbans a cadence, almost as if the forest were breathing along with the sea. House to some of the most iconic wildlife in the world, many venture into the Sundarbans for that elusive capture of the Bengal tiger. However, besides the big cats, the forest teems with myriad life forms that flesh out the vibrant tapestry of life here. The Bengal tiger is probably one of the most powerful and magnificent beasts on Earth, and the Sundarbans host one of the largest populations of Bengal tigers in the world. Some estimates put at about 100 individuals, the number that inhabits the Bangladesh part of the forest. It learnt to survive in the mangrove swamps, adopting by developing into an outstanding swimmer, and further honed its own strategy of hunting, fitting for an aquatic environment. On top of all these fearsome characteristics, Royal Bengal tigers also have a softer side. These tigers are even known to snack on honey from beehives, gaining the displeasure of honey collectors. But it is not all tigers in the Sundarbans, mind you. Spotted deer, wild boar, and an astounding variety of birds have made a home right there among them. The bright kingfishers to the graciously elegant white-bellied sea eagles are simply an amazement of avian variety. A biodiversity hotspot, the Sundarbans provide a residence to over 400 species of wildlife, including 42 species of mammals, 290 species of birds, and an array of reptiles and amphibians. And then there are the barking deer on Halliday Island. It is quite something to behold. It is spectacular to see all these animals outside. Not forgetting the freshwater dolphins. They are so highly endangered, yet there they are, swimming around in the rivers and channels of Sundarbans. This really shows how important this environment is, because the presence of these animals reflects the health of the ecosystem. Although trees and creatures are indeed the most evident landscapes of the Sundarbans, this is essentially a place defined by water. It is a place of rivers, streams and mouths, where fresh water from rivers meets saline water from the Bay of Bengal. The constant interplay between fresh and salt water has resulted in a rich variety of life forms. The rivers act like natural roads, helping people, animals and supplies move around easily. It is clear that these forests play a crucial role in nutrient distribution and sediment that help in the growth and rejuvenation of the forest. The Sundarbans, without these rivers, just wouldn't exist as we know it. Just like the wildlife of the place, people count on these waterways for survival. It shows a delicate balance between the fishermen who rely on these waters for their living and the animals that depend on them for food and shelter. It is extraordinary even to fathom how this primeval virgin forest is deeply connected with human life. The water does not only give, sometimes it takes it back with catastrophic floods that reshape the land in the twinkling of an eye. Yet life goes on, very resilient and usually hunkering down with whatever nature throws at it. You can even find old remains of human life here, like the ruins of a city built by Chand Sadagar in Bagmara forest. Islands galore in this area, of course, places of attraction like the Kailash and Henry Netidopani simply attract. Who does not want to visit these places? History is awesome, right? In the Mughal period, approximately 200 to 300 AD, these forests were rented out for settlement purposes. Ruins of some of these settlements, however, still exist. Conflict history in Sundarban is just as varied and interesting as its fauna. Be it pirates and smugglers down to the armies, every functional force sought to control a portion of this land for specific reasons. And all through the battles, the Sundarbans have kept its secrets well hidden. Until 1757, the Sundarbans belonged to Mughal Emperor Alamgir II, but after that, the British seized control of it, marking the start of British rule over the region. The colonial rule imposed in the 18th century by the British changed everything. What had been a wild, untamed forest became a resource to be exploited. The Sundarbans represented a real treasure trove of timber, honey and other goods for the British. They built embankments and canals to make it more accessible to steal the resource, but by doing so, they disturbed the delicate balance of this ecosystem that had survived for many centuries. It is a classic tale of stealing someone else's resources, and the scars of that period can still be seen today. Still, with change upon change, the forest stays unchanged. To the British colonial masters, the Sundarbans was not a natural wonder, but a resource to be manipulated for benefit. The empire, in its thirst for wealth, took from the forest what it could and left behind scars, which the Sundarbans is still healing from today. Among the primary resources plundered in the Sundarbans, by far the most important was timber. The wood of the mangrove species is solid, with water-resistant properties that made it very valuable. The British deforested great expanses of the Sundarbans, extracting fuel wood and millwood for construction and ship repair. Those trees that had faced the aggression of erosion and storms for centuries now succumbed to the axe, and the land was left at the mercy of weather conditions. But the British did not stop at timber. Even the rich wildlife of the Sundarbans was exploited. Many animals, including the Bengal tigers, fell to sporting lust. Rich British officials travelled into the Sundarbans expressly to hunt these magnificent beasts, with no thought to leaving the ecosystem intact. To them, the forest was a playground for the rich, a place to be tamed and conquered. This exploitation continued through the British era and brought on effects that can still be felt in this region. Though resilient, the forest still bears the scars of its past. Walking through a grove of Sundari trees is a sort of passage into another world. The atmosphere is impregnated with the smell of earth mixed with salt. There is also some sort of green light filtering through trees all around, making them seem endless as their tall stems stretch upwards too. As we reach the end of our journey into the Sundarbans, it cannot but amaze anyone at how such a fantastic place, from the towering mangroves and serpentine rivers to the majestic Bengal tigers down to the delicate spotted deer, is so full of beauty, mystery and wonder. It's a forest ever in flux, moulded by the tides, by the rivers and by the rains brought in by the monsoon. It is a place where nature holds sway, a place where something new greets the eye each day. Whether it's to enjoy the wildlife, the trees, or just the feel and beauty of the landscape, Sundarbans has something for each and every one. What say? Are you prepared for this journey into the very heart of the Sundarbans? The forest is waiting and its secrets are dying to be let out. It's about time one packed those bags and let the wild beauty and timelessness of Sundarbans cast its magic spell on you. Hope you enjoyed this adventure. Please subscribe for the next journey. Thanks for watching.